We're going to call this meeting to order. This is the Legislative Committee at 5:30 p.m. on February the 12th, 2024. Hey, we are actually we're in session. Commissioner Klein, would you mind saying the invocation for us?
Sure. Heavenly Father, we thank you for all the good you bring to Sumner County, and we thank you for our opportunity to serve the people as we are endeavoring to do. We ask you to be with us tonight. Help the guys who are working on the broken water main up on 52. We ask you to take care of all of the situations, and that our decisions will be your decisions, that we will be the conduit that you speak through in these meetings. We ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Have a motion for the approval of the agenda. Motion by Commissioner Shope, second by Commissioner Brown. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, recognition of the public. Didn't see anybody sign up. So, for the chairman, I do not. Did we not do approval of minutes?
So moved.
Approval of minutes by Commissioner Shope, second by Commissioner Brown. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. That carries. Thank you. All right. Recognition of the public, we have none. And report of the chairman, I do not have anything. I'll save mine for the agenda items. So report of the county mayor.
No report, Mr. Chairman.
Sorry. Well, item A under old business is discussion resolution 1504-02 clarifying ownership, routine maintenance, support services, and funding for the Hendersonville Library. I'll make a motion for discussion.
Or second.
All right, second by Commissioner Shope. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. So last time we met this body, we voted to send myself and Mr. Sutler to the Hendersonville Finance Committee per their request for us to come and discuss. This is just a really crazy and unnecessary journey that we've been on, in my opinion. Started last August, obviously, with the breaking of the air conditioning unit in Hendersonville Library, and then them being told that it's the school board's responsibility to fix their air conditioning unit, which is not correct. And so there's a lot of just he said, she said, pointing of fingers. And so County Mayor asked us to look into clarification of what our resolution, like who's responsible for maintenance, because it didn't seem like anybody really knew what was going on. And so I found clarification that it's based on law director's interpretation. When something major breaks, like if you need to replace the entire roof, or replace the AC, or replace the elevator, it's like a split joint ownership, 50-50, because Hendersonville is the only library in the county that we own jointly with a city. And then Portland owns theirs outright, and they maintain theirs, as far as I know, with nothing from the county. And the other three libraries, Westmoreland, Millerville, and Gallatin, we maintain as a county, and the cities do not maintain those. And Hendersonville has been providing, maintenance services, but it was just trying to figure out, like, hey, how do we just, here's the cost. And I guess in asking those questions, the mayor of Hendersonville started pushing back and not thinking that they needed to pay for any of those one-time costs to fix the Hendersonville Library. And so when we went to their finance committee, just kind of like, hey, we're just here to try to find a solution, and we're not here to point fingers. These problems in this resolution predates all of us. So, but how do we bring clarity to an ambiguous resolution? Because it is definitely ambiguous, and several of the aldermen agreed, even though the city mayor, did not agree. It wasn't a great meeting. It was, I would say that the city mayor was kind of hostile and contentious towards myself and the law director unnecessarily, and so we basically said we'd come back and present, try to figure out a solution with you guys. And so really the options that if they're not willing to clarify the resolution, some of their aldermen are, and I want to thank the aldermen that were, is like, hey, do we give this over to Hendersonville, let them take on the whole library maintenance, and just they can have their library and they can have it open as many days a week as they want? Do they give the deed and sign it over to the commission and the county? Does the county take over full maintenance of the library? Or do we just clarify what does maintenance mean in these things so that it's not ambiguous, so it's not, so when the air conditioner is broken, which I found out during that meeting from the library director, that had been broken for years. and been neglected by both the city and the county. And it's why that meeting room had been so hot, is what I was told. And so these have been long-standing problems, I think, because of this, and I don't think anybody has wanted to actually address and solve the problem. And so that's what this was born out of, just unbeknownst to us, because an air conditioner failed. And somebody said it was the school board's responsibility, as crazy as that is. So I think at this point, I don't think it's beneficial for any of us to meet with Hendersonville, is my opinion at this point. My recommendation is have our law director to speak directly with their law director, because unfortunately it's become a contentious and hostile issue unnecessarily, in my opinion. But all we were asking is, like, can we just clarify this language to just say, just if we're going to be joint owners, what can we say to specify to make sure that the elevator's not broken for 3 months like it was, which put us out of ADA compliance, which technically we should have shut the library down according to the law, but we didn't. But it's like, it's things like that shouldn't be happening. You know, some of our library board members got on it in December and got the problem fixed in a matter of days, did an excellent job. And so they're doing a great job on taking care of our libraries and just trying to solve the problems that are there. But I guess I'm just presenting to you those findings, but it seems, unfortunately, the attorney for Hendersonville did actually propose wanting to maybe give the library back to the county, but I think they might misunderstand our intentions, because when they did so, they basically said, well, my interpretation was, and law director, you can correct me if I'm wrong in my interpretation here, is that give ownership of the library completely to the county, which means the county would take on full maintenance and responsibilities for everything it brings. And then Hendersonville wanted us to spend more money to keep it open longer by giving it back to us. And then Hendersonville also wanted a seat on the library board, which is statutorily, not able to do if we have another government entity. You can have one according to state law. So that ask wasn't even lawful ask. It was just a bizarre, like, okay, we're going to give you a bad deal, and we're going to even give you a worse deal. It was just not very good presentation, in my opinion. But I'm opposed to that. But I would like just to see us clarify this resolution and any ambiguities about the ongoing operations. Hendersonville does give us a $50,000 donation a year to the library. The other libraries do as well. I think Portland gives us almost $30,000 a year for their library, but they own it and maintain it, and they still give us $30,000 to staff it. Hendersonville Library costs around, I think, $940,000 a year is the cost to run the Hendersonville Library. And so the county already pays a large portion of that as it is right now. So
I believe they only pay $50,000 and
they only pay $50,000 of that, and then they do pay some maintenance costs. It might be like $10,000 or $15,000 maybe in the past year and a half that they've paid towards maintenance upkeep. I'd have to go back and look. But I know the county has paid equally as much or not more. So get that from our finance department. Mr. Show.
Yeah, I kind of like the idea of it being owned by one or the other, like in general, just making it super clear. One or the other owns it. If we haven't been able to work toward that deal, like I didn't realize that because I had heard that as well, that we've been asked to put a board member on there, but then if we were going to have full ownership of that library, that doesn't seem fair to the other cities. If one city would have a board member and the others, I mean, I'm not, I would like to keep all things on the table, but because I do, if we can, I guess my thought here is that if we can either divest ourselves entirely, or I think even better, take full control of the library, that we should try to find that path. I'm totally fine with what you suggested about having the law director do it. I just think for the long term, if we go and clarify language in the resolution, it's going to kick the can down. There will be something about it that won't end up working. I think the simplest thing would ultimately be if one or the other could just own this guy. That's kind of my opinion on it, just because I think it would be simpler to do it that way. There was another note I was going to have on this, but I don't know that I still think it's probably wise. Oh, I did have one more note. I think it's probably wise to have the county attorney continue these discussions and let it be in his court. But I would note On the, just procedurally, for any more ask for the, for library funding, that ask should go in the regular budget cycle, just like everything else. It should, that's a normal, no different about that ask than any other ask, in my opinion, but.
Can you mean like for salaries or?
No, for there was an ask for additional, there was additional.
Well, they want us to spend more money to open it up more.
Open it up more, I'm just saying.
And take on the responsibility.
Right, I was saying that ask should come, just like any other budgetary ask, during a budget cycle, not off cycle. And just to consider these things as the county attorney is making his, continue this engagement, my thoughts.
We also have to take into consideration, if we did take on the burden that we, whatever money Hendersonville was actually paying towards maintenance, we lose that, and we're
Right.
taking on the burden of that. So we're increasing the costs
Right.
to the county taxpayers, so.
Do you know what the maintenance is per year on that building?
I don't, I'd have to get it from our finance director, which, what the total, I know Hendersonville pays certain items and the county puts in, tens of thousands of dollars a year for items to maintain that library.
Well, if we're already paying $950,000 out of the $1 million roughly a year on salaries, it would seem like.
That's everything, the entire library budget.
Oh, that's
Maintenance,
everything.
Salaries, it's like
Okay.
$940,000 a year. Right, this
Okay,
year.
well then that even makes my point more that if we're doing the lion's share of the costs anyway, it would make more sense for us to own. It sounds like they're amenable to that. They want some qualifications, but as you pointed out, one's not legal. And I agree with Commissioner Schoaf. I think we ought to pursue just taking it back. I mean, we already own 3 out of 5 in whole, and this would be 4 out of 5. Portland seems to be working. Do you know how long we've been in this arrangement with the city of Hendersonville?
It's this resolution, it's in your packet, it's 2015.
2015?
I think April 2015.
I can give the background, well, go ahead.
Well, like I say, I'm also
Chair, sorry.
in agreement with outright ownership by the county, because if they're gonna be contentious about the whole thing, and, I don't know how many of the aldermen want to work with us and all that kind of stuff, but still, this is, I look at it as a gift, and if they want us to pay for it, let's own it. That's the only way that I see that, this is gonna work properly.
Commissioner Schiff?
Yeah, I just want to give another thing in the bucket of the pros of maintaining ownership of it. The whole reason, my understanding, that this was set up this way in 2015 was for the county to have additional property on its books so that it could go and get more debt. But at the end of, seriously, that's what I understand it was for. But nevertheless, it is good to have the asset on our books. I think from just a purely financial point of view, it is beneficial to have that asset on our books, especially to your point. If we're already paying, 90% of the operational cost on it, it probably would make sense to just go ahead and take it on. They have unfortunately, they have a position, right? And we can't just kind of force this, so we will have to negotiate a bit, but my opinion is that, I think I agree with the other commissioners here, it would be more beneficial to keep this on our books. And there's yet one more reason. I'll shut up on
That's one
The real estate belong, and the building, everything belong to the county, correct?
We joint own the building and the land, is how it's written. But for the comptroller's purpose,
the county.
the county's the one that writes it off on their books for the comptroller, we both couldn't be doing that, right? So the county writes it off, so it's joint ownership, and it was just a poorly structured or written resolution, that it was ambiguous, it did not.
Right there clarifies.
Well, it explains why the air conditioner's been broken for years, explains why they couldn't get the elevators repaired for months. Just recently, unfortunately, we're not wanting to have the patrons suffer, we're trying to help them. And that's just, like Gallatin Library, it's got carpet that needs replacing, so we're trying to replace that. But when the air conditioner doesn't work and the elevators don't work, that's just a problem. But I'm not in favor necessarily of giving, taking on the full ownership of it, but, but if you guys, it's the will of this committee, how you want to make a motion to instruct our law director. He wrote up kind of a generic point of departure, not a resolution, but just something to think about.
Well, you're closest to this. Would you be willing to divulge what your thoughts on it should be?
I mean, I just think that, I don't have a problem with the joint ownership. It's just a clear, my whole thing was, I guess, when the county mayor brought it to us, was just clarifying who's responsible and just let's just do the right thing here. So if it's joint ownership and it's the way the law works, okay, air conditioner breaks, we play 50-50 in a day. But unfortunately, Hendersonville is saying no. But Hendersonville's looking at raising property taxes and sales taxes on its citizens. So, they got financial problems. I guess they're not going to pay. Hendersonville owes us $875,000 for the property assessment. So there's things that they're just not willing to pay. And I just see this as chalking this up as one.
Well, we're gonna learn more about what cities owe us in their budget too.
So it's one of those things, but the main way I saw it is really simple. Okay, why can't we get it fixed? We instructed the county mayor, let's just get it fixed, and we just built Hendersonville, I believe, and I believe Hendersonville paid half the cost of the repair of the AC, I believe, or was it I think it was the AC. And they did, but Mayor Clary in an email to, I believe, the law director and finance director, he was basically contesting that and saying he wants all that money back. So
do we need a motion for the law?
We will.
Regardless, we just opined all here. I'll make a motion then, because even with all these, I think the county attorney's heard all of our opinions, and I'm still comfortable with your motion to set him loose to continue these negotiations.
well, that's just my recommendation.
I'll make that as a motion. I'll make it as a
I'll
motion.
second it.
So, what, do you have any instructions that you want to
That's
send?
was gonna be my question. What do you want me to achieve,
I guess-
attempt to achieve?
Well, so we have a motion and a second. This is my opinion, that the best option for us, and this is purely from a financial point of view, is for us to have, for the county to maintain ownership of it. As an end goal, how we get there, I realize that there are some points of negotiation. That's my opinion. I think a couple agree, I think a couple disagree. If we need a motion to be I will make a motion that during your negotiations, we should have as a goal, as an ideal goal, but not an absolute, that the county would take control of this property. That would be, I'd like to amend that motion.
Okay, I
Motion by
agree
Commissioner
with
Schoaf.
And I agree with
Second.
I would like to point out that they've already kind of tendered that offer, but they want these stipulations added to it. So are you talking about sole ownership and sole control?
Well, so start with sole ownership. They've tendered back. It's clear that we're not amenable to these stipulations. So
Okay.
if there are other stipulations that we can come to,
All right.
Commissioner Rogers?
So I guess, who provides staffing for it now? It's
County.
County, correct?
Yes.
So we're gonna take, I just wanna make sure I'm understanding and walking the dog right here, is we're gonna take a building and supply staff and supply maintenance and carpet and everything else that goes with it. Because why?
I can answer that.
Go ahead, Commissioner
I mean,
Schoaf.
I don't live on the south end of the county.
No,
so
I mean,
I'm
it's
ignorant to part
a
of it.
matter, in my view, it's a matter of simplicity. So there, we gain two, yes, there's gain and loss here. On the one hand, what's not working is joint ownership. And joint ownership of things is often hard, and this is an exact reason why. So having one person who's in control of one, of a building or a property is a lot simpler than having joint ownership. So like with every other one, we own them or the city of Portland in that case owns it. Hendersonville, joint ownership, problems. I'm trying to solve that. So on the plus side, we keep it on our books, and that boosts our overall financial ability to maneuver if we were to, I mean, it's just like owning a significant piece of property. It's a good thing to do. And we're not talking about owning I'm not talking about here owning some building that's dilapidated or some of the other things that we talked about. We're talking about owning a functional piece of property and a functional building. So that's the pro side. on the con, yes, will we have to take on a little bit additional, maintenance and work? Possibly, but we're already taking on so much of that, it's incremental. That's my rationale, that's my reasoning. Could be wrong, but that's my reasoning.
Commissioner Rogers?
Do we know how much debt we're gonna have to take on? I mean, do we have any idea? I mean, I know anything could break tomorrow.
There's
We
no
don't
debt,
know.
there's maintenance. I mean, it probably, I don't have it with me, but it'd probably be like $12,000 to $20,000 extra additional a year that we take on at least, I'm sure, in maintenance.
So a nominal fee then.
So, that's nominal.
And I just want to clarify, sorry, I apologize here, but when I talked about debt, what I mean here is that whenever if we, and you know I'm the last person that wants to issue a bond, but you do nevertheless want to maintain financial flexibility. So whenever a entity issues debt of any kind, government entity, it's not that different than if you as an individual were to try to take out a loan based on your assets will be looked at. So we can only issue so much debt relative to our asset. This being on our books contributes to that being an asset.
Sure.
That's what I was
That's
talking
how
about.
we
Not
was
that
able to
we,
build the courthouse and.
yeah, that's
Liberty
right.
Creek.
That's right.
Well, currently, it's on our books, though.
Right, but we would lose it if we,
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I mean, right now, we're already counting it.
That's true.
So there's no gain there, because we're already counting it, because we own the property. I mean, so, I don't,
that's a fair point.
so I mean,
That's a fair point.
I mean, there's no gain in that aspect. It's just, the only thing we're gaining is, we're gaining having to spend more money to maintain it. That's the way I see it. That's-
So if we leave the ownership the way it is, and, I mean, that's kind of where I was going, is we already have the ownership or the deduction or the asset of said building. What are we really gaining? That we get to turn the key when we want to and our staff goes in and out when we want to? I don't even think we're getting that. I don't
We're
understand what
gaining more financial burden, and we're also, you're gaining clarity and lack of, it's a lack of attention and detail to stuff getting handled correctly. Obviously, I will say this, learning that the air conditioner had been broken for years was shocking to me. But it seems like nobody wanted to touch it because of why this was so badly written. And the status quo being the status quo, it sounds like the county was just kind of like picking up the tab and nobody wanted to step on somebody's toes and address the real elephant in the room. It's like, a bad deal is a bad deal, and this is just a bad deal. And so it just needs to be corrected so that people don't, just because you've been on the wrong path doesn't mean you continue on the right path, the wrong path. And you gotta go back
That's
to where,
called insanity.
the fork in the road is here, so we gotta go back to here to get back and get on a better path. And so that's just addressing that, so, Mr. Brown.
I just feel like if we don't maintain this thing, it's going to dilapidate. It's going to then go into further disrepair. Then we will lose a lot of the value of that property. And if, again, there's one person making the decision, or one group making the decision, rather than depending on a group that we don't know what they're gonna give us, because they've already demonstrated that numerous times, that, you know, whatever Hendersonville's gonna give us, yeah, we're gonna probably take a little bit of debt on it, but at least we will have clarity. And that's what we need, is clarity in who owns the thing and who controls it.
Commissioner Hyde.
In finality, I think what we need to remember is that this has always been a county library. When it was in the building where the Samaritan Center is, it was a county library. It was our property. There was never any joint ownership. It was even named for a county judge or chairman of the commission, Judge Curtis. When the city proposed a new library and the county agreed to assist in fundraising, there were some funds from the city. I think the county contributed some, a lot of fundraising in the community. And that's when we became entangled and the city became involved in supposedly owning part of the library. But prior to that, it had always been, it was just a county library, county property, our expense.
Mr. Brown.
One other thing, if things like that start to fall apart, our insurance may go up, and that's not something that we want to do. Because any insurance company will say, if you don't get it fixed, then we're gonna raise your rates. And that's same with a car or anything else that you have like that. And so we just don't need to be letting air conditioning go, mold building up in a particular area, because there's no, air conditioning or anything like that. It just doesn't make sense.
There happened to be at the time one particular alderman in the city of Hendersonville who really insisted on the city maintaining some control over the library. And that was, the long and short of it, that is when the city of Hendersonville got involved in part of the management, ownership, if you would, of the library. But I don't see how on earth that it could be anything but a county library. I think we ought to negotiate it and let the lawyer have a hand at this, because it doesn't need to be the way it is now.
Millersville did the same thing, put money up to build a brand new library, and then they handed the library to the county, clear and free, once I don't know if they funded all of it. The lion's share of it they did in my district, so the same thing. So again, this is kind of a wonky resolution. So I guess to restate the question, is a motion to have the law director negotiate with the city attorney on terms of the city of Hendersonville quitclaim deeding the entire library over to us, where we have sole ownership.
That's right.
All right.
That's
We got a second? Are there any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. You guys for hanging in there on that. All right, next item of business is discussion of the County Parks and Recreation Board. I just saw this copy was emailed to the committee and on your desk. I haven't had a chance to fully read through this yet, so I don't know if we have any comments.
Mr. Chairman, this was my resolution, and I've withdrawn this. I contacted the legal department, and I contacted Jennifer today, and I have withdrawn this resolution.
Okay, so this is not something you want to pursue at this
No.
time, or just at all?
I don't want to pursue it at all.
Okay, any reason, or?
No, it's just not a good idea.
I think, I'll make a motion to discussion. If I get a second.
I'll second it.
All right, second by Commissioner Klein. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, I don't think it's a bad idea to dissolve that, how it was brought forward. It was brought forward as a part of, or I wouldn't be opposed to dissolving it altogether, to be honest with you. It was brought forward as part of the Greenway plan, when they were trying to steal land on Upper Station Camp to put greenways in the back of Commissioner Holmes' backyard and other citizens leading up to the Bridal House. And this park plan was basically a part of that, and it's basically it was for the Brown House and the land that was given on that Liberty Creek property leading to that. And so I think, memory serves correctly, in 2020, the formation of this was basically just to fulfill a requirement to get $500,000 grant from the state. It was just a short-term, just thrown together thing, but they did spend, I think, close to $100,000 to come up with a master parks plan, which includes greenways in the backs of people's backyard that you'd have to steal land from. So I was opposed to that plan. I didn't vote for the plan. I didn't vote for the formation of this, and I didn't vote for the grant at the time. But I'm fine with just looking at this or studying this a little bit more, but I understand Chairman Hyde is withdrawing it. Wouldn't be opposed to basically going under the first, now therefore be resolved, .1, current Sumner County Parks and Recreation Board is hereby dissolved, period. But
Mr. Chairman, I will speak to a little bit of my thinking on this, if you will. When I developed this idea, it was for the protection of the county from things like intrusions, so that there would be a board or someone that would be managing, controlling, and some influence in stopping intrusions and to people's property or whatever, and choosing what we wanted to have as a county. But I just choose at this time not to go forward with this. And if somebody else wants to develop a plan and bring it forth, that's fine.
I would,
Commissioner Shaffer?
I don't know enough about this to have any understanding or opinion whatsoever. I would move to defer this.
I would second that motion because I was at the same point.
Uh,
I was going to study the entire,
I would like to take a look at it just because, I mean, I think that the old board from several years ago, they just they called a meeting and they're still making decisions on our behalf and we don't even know what they're doing, so I'm not comfortable with that. So, I mean, I'd be more in the dissolution of that board.
Yeah, I mean,
That part.
I mean, to defer it, we could do any number of things.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, it's part of that, so I'd like to look at that, so this is actually in there, so I'd be in favor of deferral next month. I would like to look at this a little bit more. I have not had a chance to study this yet either, so. All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Schiff to defer, a second by Commissioner Klein. Is there any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carried unanimously. All right, new business. We have Veteran Service Report and Presentation. Floor is yours.
Thank you, sir. Good evening. Two broad trends I want to kind of highlight in about 3 pieces of news. The broad trends that we've had a lot more volunteers, like our volunteer hours tripled last month, and we've also had a little bit of a spike in our request for assistance for folks with assisted living and pension services. I spent a lot of time up in Portland last week. The notes highlight a couple folks in District 22 that got some pensions that are going to allow them to stay in assisted living or in their homes within home care for the rest of their lives. The bits of news are kind of highlighted if you look at page 12 of the Veteran Services Report. We added some stuff up at the top to give you a sense of the financial contribution the VA makes every year through our county citizens. We also highlighted a couple things that Robertson County highlighted. One of them was veteran suicides. Another one was the homeless veterans in Sumner County. And we actually have no idea how many homeless veterans we have in Sumner County because we don't count them. I got a request from the VA healthcare side to identify who counts the homeless vets in Sumner County. It turned out that nobody actually does. So there's no contribution from Sumner County to the point in time survey, which feeds into a housing or urban development report. I was a little surprised by that, but I want to share that with you as just a piece of news. We've also initiated another attempt to form a Sumner Veterans Coalition, bringing together veteran services organizations, in some cases interested businesses, to help out with solving problems that we've identified within the veteran community. Things mainly like transportation down to Nashville or Murfreesboro for healthcare. And we've already started talking to our volunteers about bringing the iPads and expanding healthcare services through telehealth out into more rural parts of the county. We expect the TVHS, or the VA's healthcare system locally, will send letters out first to every veteran who does not have a 37066 or a 37075 zip code. They should all be getting letters in the next month or so identifying how they can set up appointments for telehealth here in the county building or perhaps in their homes. And then in a few months, we'll send it out to all the Hendersonville and Gallatin residents, because the goal is to improve the quality of healthcare services in the rural parts of the county. And then just the last bit of news, I had an interesting experience last week. For the first time, I had to ask a police officer to remove the handcuffs from my veteran so he could sign his VA claim form, and then he signed it on the hood of a police car. And it was out in Hendersonville as well. So I've never had that experience before. It turned out that not many veteran service officers have had that experience, but just kind of wanted you to share that to let you know the extent that we go to help out our vets that are definitely in need.
How did you find out about, how did that happen? I'm just interested.
There's a veteran that he's left several profane messages on our phones in the past.
Oh.
He's got several different problems, but he recently had a court judgment where his spouse.
And don't tell too much about it.
No, that's okay.
Yeah, I don't want.
But I had arranged to meet him, and he was very inebriated when he showed up, and the police were called, and they actually knew the veteran and were helping him out. They weren't even planning to arrest him, but he became progressively more agitated,
Yeah.
which unfortunately happens when you have a combination of substances and other disabilities.
Have you all made a, I know we have some of this the opioid abatement funds. Have you made it, and apologies if I missed this, Have you all made any, assessment of how, your office may utilize some of those potentially? Or is that a potential
Indirectly.
avenue?
So the biggest contribution I think we can make with the opioid assessment funds are participating in the existing court system, Veterans Treatment Court, which is part of their drug court program.
Yeah, it's funny, because is it okay?
Can I get a
I'm
motion to
not-
suspend the rules?
Make a motion to
Yeah,
suspend.
we'll interrupt you. All right, motion by Commissioner Klein, second by Commissioner Schoaf. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
Sorry, apologies. But, so you're mostly working through the court system. So that's like just kind of a narrow look at, only the catchment only comes to those who actually get the court right. So you mentioned earlier about nobody who's able to canvass. I mean, I would think there's probably some overlap between homelessness and substance use. It's probably very, very close. But anyway, it's just a thought. I'm not telling you what to do. It's just a thought.
There's a variety of different aspects we could take a look at. I suspect that the overlap between opioid abuse and suicide is actually probably closer than it is with the homelessness.
That's probably true, too.
But the main things where we typically interact with that is either through the VA healthcare system, which we do get referrals from a variety of different sources, and through the courts. And in some ways, with a staff of 2.5 people, just the ability to go out and interface with some of these folks and trying to find them where they're at would be a little bit of a challenge. That is one of the things that we're particularly looking to partner with our area churches, because in many cases, they seem to know where some of these people are. And that's one of the things that we're looking to improve with the coalition effort. And it was something that, I can't remember, one of the other commissioners talked about. So we've been trying to improve our, cooperation with the churches in the area. So, I don't have like a practical idea exactly yet about how to improve, except for to kind of reach out and build a better team. Instead of creating something new and having that existing legacy, I'm trying to extend branches with existing organizations that probably already have some of that work that they're doing.
I wanted to understand the numbers, these new numbers on the top. So we've got 11,601 vets in the county.
Yes, sir.
And the compensation paid is 82 million change, which is about 7,100 on average per vet.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. So the 53 million that is annual health care paid, is that on top of the 82? Okay, so that's,
And there's additional on top, there's education benefits, and there are some insurance payments that aren't included.
okay.
So the total for FY '22 is like 140 million, but most of it, 135 million of it were paid healthcare and compensation.
Okay, and then the 4.5%, what is that about?
This is a statistic out of the census. The estimated poverty or veteran disability rate is 4.5% of the county population.
Of the county population, not of the veteran population, of the county
That's my
population.
understanding.
Wow, okay, great, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Your veteran suicides in Tennessee, is this a Tennessee statistic, the 177, or is this a Sumner County statistic?
The state of Tennessee.
Okay, that's since 2021?
Correct.
Okay, gotcha, so,
And that is in 2021. That's a single
Okay.
calendar year.
but we don't know 2022 or 2023
No, the
data yet?
numbers,
Or county data, we don't have anything for Sumner County, it's just statewide.
I know for sure that since 2021, we've had 2 for sure suicides. We had one this past year, we had one last year.
In Sumner County alone.
Correct. But I don't have, the VA is a little bit, about a year or 2 behind on pulling that data. And so I'm looking forward to the 2022 data so I can corroborate what I know of versus what the state's got to see if there might be additional discrepancies in the data.
Okay, any other questions? I'm gonna pull us back into session.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff, appreciate it. All right, 9B, circuit court clerk and county clerk personnel policies for docketing. I'll make a motion for discussion. Second by Commissioner Schiff. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I did have a question. I just, for the circuit court clerk, for the law director, do you know, as far as the 2012 Financial Management Act, the status of the court clerk's compliance with that, or with?
I was
'Cause I know this
involved with
affects-
the county clerk's office. Steve handled most of that, so I'll defer to him on that.
This is the one thing I'm willing to say to protect any attorney-client communication I might have had with the circuit court clerk about this. And this is all I'm going to say. I'm not going to take any questions about this. The remaining language at issue is approved so long as you ultimately provide the time records to the Finance Department as specified in the 2012 Financial Management Act and continue on to full implementation of said act as specified by the 2012 Financial Management Committee.
Can you read that again?
Certainly. The remaining language at issue is approved so long as you ultimately provide the time records to the Finance Department as specified in the 2012 Financial Management Act and continue on to full implementation of said act as specified by the 2012 Financial Management Committee.
All right, so I will direct this question to the law director, based on what hearing attorney saying here, that this policy approval is contingent upon her compliance with the 2012 Financial Management Act and implementation of that. Did I interpret that correctly?
I will answer a little bit different. It's approved with the caveat that you're still going to be expected to comply with the 2012 Act.
And right now, she's not in compliance, correct?
I would defer to Mr. Longs on that.
Okay.
I'm not sure what status she's in.
I'll ask that in her budget.
Yeah,
Okay.
We can add that.
Yeah, I said, one of the things that we've got is Chronos, and that's where we don't know how many are still that week behind that we're gonna have to make up, whether we're gonna add, money to,
I'll just
to
add
the
that to our
budget.
report.
Yeah,
Their
it's-
budget. We
it's
can
a-
do it
Okay.
in an hour.
Can I, based on what our staff attorney said on this policy, I guess when you guys do the resolution, I'd like to make a motion to include that language if I can, unless you advise me not to, but
That can be done.
Yeah, that's not a
I would like to
problem.
include that language.
Because that's pretty much,
In the approval resolution, as far as the caption, I guess.
that's template language we've been doing with any of these approvals.
I just want to make sure that language is in there for
Okay, I got it.
public benefit.
I got it.
All right. Do you need a motion for that, or it's clear? This is docketing purposes only, but I can make a motion for that request.
We'll put it in there.
Okay. Are there any other questions about these policies for the
No.
court clerk and county clerk personnel policies? Again, this is just for docketing purposes only. All right. Do we need to take a motion on this? This is docketing?
No.
Okay, thanks, sir. All right, item C, executive session discussion for election commission case.
So moved.
Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I'm going to ask the audience to leave while we go into executive session.